We continue now to track the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, who was taken from her home in the Foothills over a month ago now, as officials continue to look for answers. Today marks day 32 in that search. The Pima County Sheriff's Department says the case has been handed over now to a task force that is operating out of the Tucson FBI office. It includes 5 Pima County homicide detectives, we're told, as well as FBI agents. 88 Crime tells us they have received over 2,300 anonymous tips in reference to this case, and investigators addressing the public today with new information regarding black gloves found about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. In a post on X, PCSD says DNA analysis traced those gloves to a local restaurant employee who is not connected to the case. And tonight, as that investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance pushes 4.5 weeks, investigators say the DNA collected could make or break this case. As researchers use different methods to try and learn whose DNA has been collected, they say getting the answers is not a guarantee. News 4 Tucson's Andrew Capasso is at the FBI Phoenix office with more on the steps and the risks involved.
When DNA gets put in an FBI database and there is no match, one of the next steps is called investigative genetic genealogy. It's happening now with some evidence in this Guthrie investigation. And one analyst who has used DNA to crack cases says while it is a very important tool, it may not work every time.
That's a risk that you have to take in these situations. These are the circumstances that in order to address them, you have to attempt it and you have to try. And that's what we continue to do in the lab.
April Stonehouse is a forensic science professor at ASU. She's also worked in southern Arizona and helped crack many Tucson cases using DNA. She says she knows there's a lot on the line in this case, just like any major investigation.
We do recognize the stakes are high in assisting law enforcement in solving.
This process is complicated and time-consuming.
Blending DNA typing with traditional genealogy research.
It starts with the DNA from a scene.
We need about 1 nanogram of DNA to get a DNA result.
Getting to that point, she says, starts with the investigators.
Determining items of evidence that have a high likelihood of having the suspect's DNA will be vital and critical. Locating those items that may have his DNA.
The testing and research could take days, weeks, even months. In some cases, there's even dead ends.
We don't always get perfect results.
And while she says every case is treated the same, knowing the answer to a crime could be under that microscope.
It's a motivation. As an analyst, it's a motivation to find the best possible evidence that you can DNA type.
Pressure, she says, she's used to.
This type of pressure is pretty typical for the job.
And on top of finding the right pieces of evidence in Nancy Guthrie's home for this specific process to work, there also needs to be something found in that genetic research. That comes from people who submit samples and then opting in to have their DNA used for criminal investigations. Stonehouse, who we should mention is not part of this specific investigation, says in some instances, if that genetic permission's not granted, then there might not be an answer using DNA. Reporting in Phoenix, outside FBI headquarters, I'm Andrew Capasso, News 4 Tucson.
And DNA is just part of that evidence. Meantime, investigators are still asking for any videos or images of vehicles or anything suspicious in the Catalina Foothills area when this all happened. Investigators say they're looking for any leads, especially doorbell or surveillance video from the night of January 11th between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. and from January 31st to February 1st between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. That is the evening that Nancy Guthrie was reported missing. We have a link on our website, KVOA.com, where you can submit your video or images. Investigators just ask that you include your address and the date and time that those images and video were captured. And of course, if you're looking for a way to show your support to the Guthrie family, we still have that banner just outside of our station that you can come by and sign. It is located off Stone and Drockman at 209 West Elm. And for continuing coverage on the search for Nancy Guthrie, be sure and stay with News 4 Tucson on air, online, and on all of our social media platforms.